Everyone, happy Friday. I hope you're all looking forward to a really, really good weekend. And I hope you've all had a really good week. So, I want to talk just a little bit today, not too long, about a dream I had and how I think it relates to something that is very important to what I do, which is about how do I bring women back into sovereignty so that they can walk the path of the wise woman. So, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Sharon Ann Lovegrove, and I work with sensitive, empathic women that are stressed, overwhelmed, and depleted because they prioritize everyone else and everything but themselves. So they put others first, they really say no, they worry what people think, they put pressure on themselves, and often hide in the backgrounds, feeling ignored, discounted, and overlooked. So I embolden them to step into their sovereign power and take back control. Say no, safely navigate relationship boundaries, and have a lifestyle that's healthier, happier, more loving, and divinely feminine. And who wouldn't want that? So Friday is always a really good day because Friday is a day where we go into the weekend and we have often time to think. For those of you that are not actually working, of course. But Friday is normally the day where we wind down and we start to let those intuitions come forth. And so it is really interesting that I had a dream today. And I know that I had sort of not such a good night, but I woke up this morning and there was something that my unconscious mind was busy trying to tell me. So for those of you that don't know, dreams are really our primordial way in which we experience life. And so it's a way in which it's pre-verbal. So a time before we thought about things or were able to conceptualize things, we saw it in the realms of thoughts and images. And we didn't actually have the way to self-reflect via language because language wasn't there yet. But part of our consciousness and our conscious evolution was to be able to make symbolic representations of what was inside us so that everybody else could see, that they could all share our knowledge. And that was how we started to create a collective shared knowledge. So, yeah, why my dream? So my dream was all about zombies. Now, for any of you that know me, you'll probably know I love zombies and I love sci-fi. I love fantasy. I love anything that involves an alternative way of thinking about things. Other than the fact that you can also get these feelings where you can say, yeah, kill them, get them going. It allows that little offset of juices. But there's always something else. And I'm always one of these people that tend to spend a lot of time afterwards reflecting on certain things that get said. So obviously something was mulling in the back of my mind because I've been watching ZNation on Netflix. And Netflix is really quite good at doing all sorts of zombie movies, and I've watched pretty few of them. But ZNation is really interesting because the zombies in ZNation have been transforming. So initially they were just these zombies that kind of died, and then they became this fearless animal that was able to, that just wanted to eat other humans. Okay, got to be live humans, of course. So they wanted to eat humans and or other animals, but they wanted to have food from them. So they became this carnivorous being. And then there was a series where there was a change. There was a black rain. And what happened was that the zombies were starting to awaken. And now we're in the stage where they're trying to create Numerica, which is all about having everyone, the talkers, which are the zombies that are now sentient in some way, and the humans to collaborate together. And they were going through this idea of creating this nation and basing it on what the founding fathers had wanted, with the knowledge that with what they knew, with the simplicity of what they knew at the time. And what was really interesting was, how do we create the commonality, the theme that allows a sense of coherence, a sense of balance for negotiation to happen? And what was really key here for me was when there was this enlightened moment where they kind of said, well, everybody dies. Everybody dies. So in ZNation, when you die, you become a zombie. All right. So you die and then you just transform and you become this being sentient now, but fearless. Fearless because you don't have, God, that thought's just jumped up. You don't have the visceral inputs that are coming from your stomach, your gut, all of those things back to the brain. So basically, you don't feel very much. You have cognitive understanding of what something can feel like. You have a sense of empathy, but you don't necessarily experience that feeling of fear. And we know that people that actually lose their adrenals, or some parts of their adrenals, actually don't experience fear. So that's really interesting. So we know that there is this direct link of information coming from our, from our body that drives the fear centers. So my dream was really all about that I started to become aware that there were a lot of me's that were also zombies in there. So there was a me that was, had been probably a teacher in a past life, or there was a me that had done some other things. So there were multiple aspects of me that were in this zombie compound. And I had become aware of them. And all of a sudden, as I became aware of them, they became aware that I was existing. And therefore, they all started to automatically feel a driver to come and find and regroup. And my work is really all about sovereignty. My work is all about how do we bring back all those parts that, parts of us that got lost, that got disconnected from the deeper truth of who we are. And when we are disconnected from our deeper truths, we can't find our North Star. We can't find that space that allows us to know who we are, what we're here for, and what is our unique contribution that we have to the world. So this is really what came up for me, was this idea that one is that we're always seeking, and the moment we start to have some direct awakening for ourselves, what happens is those parts of ourselves start to want to come back to us so that we can become whole. But there was also something else that the dream, as I woke up and I was saying to myself, I've got to remember this is really important. ZNation was about a dream that I had many years ago, where I was about 7 years old, and I was, the dream was where God took me up into heaven, and it was a beautiful, beautiful scene. And what happened was, he kind of said, well, it's not your time to be up here yet. But I want to tell you is that everybody comes to me in the end. Everybody comes to me in the end. And that was really where it triggered probably for this concept of ZNation, where she said everybody dies and becomes a zombie. And if we translate this even further, it is really about recognizing this surrendering towards something, to a state of enlightenment, towards a state where we move without fear, where we move and understand that we're okay, that we're enough, that we have all that we need, and we're not thirsting from a place of lack, but we are moving from a place of fullness. And that is what's really important, because we are always using a guider for ourselves as that sense of happiness, that sense of beingness that allows us to catapult ourselves into the next realm of being. So we use happiness as a measure to let us know when we need to take the next jump. Because that's all happiness is about. Happiness gives us a temporary moment while we can just rest and relax and just enjoy. And then happiness becomes a little elusive because it's our nature to expand. It's our nature to grow. It's our nature to create. So, yeah, that was really what came up for me today. And I know that I always look at a movie and I always look at things and I know there's this psychological part of me that is always looking to explain the creator or to explain the connections and why we need to reconnect to ourselves. And I guess this is the same thing in a way. It is about really connecting to our deeper truth. So I don't know whether there's anything here that resonates for you, whether you have had a moment of transformation or a moment of an aha moment where you might realize, whoa, life isn't exactly what I expected, and oh, I need to do something else. Or if you are not in the state where you can feel that you are, not being the best version of yourself, if you feel as though you are basically ending up being a glorified employee. So you're at the needs of everybody else, but you're not necessarily taking care of you. And also, it's just really about understanding that we need to see where we can get to our best life ever. And what would that look like if we had it? If this is something that interests you and you would like to find a little more about how I can help you into sovereignty and allow you to start walking the path of the wise woman so that you can have increasing levels of happiness, joy, and fulfillment, then please click on the link that I provide here so that you can have a short conversation with me. And together we'll see how we can make this happen. You can also just leave a comment or leave a message, direct message me. And again, we can see how we can take that forward. So have a great day. And for those of you that will be watching a little bit later, please like and share, because it would be really good to find a way in where we can all raise our energy. Because for me, my mission is that all women stand in their sovereign power. So they can be the leaders, the healers, and the wise women that they were destined to be. That is my mission. And they can't do that if they're not in sovereignty. And they cannot do that if all of them isn't in alignment with their deeper truth, so that they work together, all of them. They connect to all their parts. And then they can dare outrageously. They can live abundantly. And they can love endlessly. Yeah. And it can be for you too. So have a great weekend.